Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Jazzy's Crafty Corner. Today, we are going to be making this cute little red velvet cake. Happy July, everybody! Can y'all believe we are 7 months into the year? Like, I don't know about y'all, but I feel like this year, I feel like January was like 2 months ago. I don't know, maybe that's just me, but this year has flown by. Like, it is crazy. But what I'm most excited for is fall. Y'all already know fall is my favorite season. And I don't know, it's just something about it. It's just like, it's like a comfort season. You know, you got the leaves changing, the pumpkin spice lattes, pumpkins, Halloween, Thanksgiving, all that good stuff. And right here, y'all, you see my hands are like red. Make sure when you're working with like color, like dark colors with clay, make sure that you wash your hands in between each time you like switch up your colors. Um, or else it's gonna like bleed onto all of your other colors, and you definitely don't want that. So yeah, but yeah, fall's my favorite season, you guys. It's very like comforting. You know, the nice, cool, crisp air, the beautiful leaves, all that stuff. And I live in the mountains, you guys. I live in the mountains of North Carolina. So in the fall, it is absolutely beautiful. Like we get like buku tourists here during the fall. Like it's it's crazy. But yeah, I can understand though. I mean, fall is a beautiful season. It really is. It's definitely the most diverse season out of all of them. So here are the two bottom layers to the bottom layers. The two layers to the cake, top and bottom. And here's the white. And of course my hands are clean. Otherwise the red residue would have gotten all over the white and that would have been a big mess. So I'm just shaping it to fit the layers of the cake. This is going to be the icing. And funny because I have been doing these videos, not videos, I have been doing, making stuff out of clay since 2015. And I started back up in like 2019, 2018, 19. And I remember back in 2015, my mom, she was like, you should do these videos. Like you should make videos, like process videos, because people actually would watch them. I'm like, no, I don't want to. And she's like, why? I'm like, I don't know. I don't like the way my hands look on camera, blah, blah, blah. Again, me to be saying this at 15 years old is crazy because, again, it's like, who cares? And she's like, oh, girl, who cares? Nobody cares about that. I'm like, I know, but I don't like the way my hands look. Because I've got long fingers, as y'all can see, and I got big hands. So I don't know, something about that. I'm like, I just don't want people to see that on camera. Like, I don't know. I would, tell her that I have alien hands, and I'm like, which I kind of do, to be honest. But I'm like, I don't want that. I don't want to put my hands on camera. Which honestly, it wasn't that serious, but of course, knowing me, I made it a big deal when it really wasn't a big deal. So yeah, here we are, 11 years later, doing videos. So right now, I am making the icing, or the icing layer, I should say, and you guys will understand why. Like you'll see why later on in the video, why I'm calling it the icing layer. Yeah. So I'm just gonna roll it out, and it's kind of like a fondant. For you cake people, you know what I'm talking about. So like a fondant, what I'm doing right now. But speaking of that, my mom, she used to do cakes. She had a real big booming cake business, and she would make all type of stuff. Cakes, cupcakes, cookies, cake pops, cheesecakes, breads like banana bread, apple fritter bread, I mean all type of stuff. And I remember she would make, every time she would make cakes, I would go upstairs and make a little tiny cake out of clay. And I would come downstairs and I'd be like, here you go. Like if she made a red velvet cake, for example, I would go upstairs and make a little red velvet cake. And I'd be like, look, I made a cake too. And yeah, it was just really cute. It's like a little core memory. So right here, I'm just putting the icing layer around the cake. It looks a mess right now, but trust the process because it doesn't have to be perfect. Yeah, so just shaping it around, making sure it kind of looks halfway decent. Because again, it's messy, but like I said, that's not gonna be an issue because we're gonna fix all that. Cutting off the excess layers right here. And then that little part right there, that's nothing to worry about. It looks messy, but I'm gonna fix all that. All this stuff I'm gonna fix, and you all will see later on in the video. Yeah, my mom, she used to make a bunch of like cool looking cakes. I mean, just stuff that I could never do. I'm like, how in the world do you do this stuff? Like, I couldn't do it because my stuff would be looking raggedy. Like, do y'all hear me when I say raggedy? Because I don't know, it's like I just don't have the patience for stuff like that. But yeah, I got patience to make this little tiny stuff out of clay, like little tiny food charms and stuff. But when it comes to like real life cakes and stuff, I couldn't trust myself, to be honest. And it's funny because my mom, she would say the same thing. She'd be like, Jazz, how do you make that little tiny stuff? I don't have the patience. And I'd be like, look, I can say the same thing about you because my stuff would look a mess. Like a mess. But look at that. We got our layers, our little lovely layers. Looks kind of messy, but it's okay. That's the beauty of, art. It's never going to be perfect. And especially with my little cake, like the goal is to make it look realistic and nothing real is perfect. You know what I mean? So the less perfect it looks, the more realistic it looks. And here is the fun part. Right here, we are going to make this cake come to life. And for y'all that don't have patience, this part is not for you because right here, I'm about to texture and basically just poke little tiny holes in the cake and kind of swirl my needle tool around in between each layer just to kind of, like I said, bring the cake to life. So I'm going to do that for the entire cake and even the little cake slice. Red velvet is one of my favorite cakes. Like, it's just, I wouldn't say it's like a guilty pleasure, but it definitely is something I will never say no to because I don't know, there's just something about it. I mean, technically it's just chocolate cake if you really think about it. If you look at how red velvet cake is made, it's technically just chocolate cake with red coloring. But it's delicious though, like it really is. I would say red velvet, carrot cake, and chocolate cake are my favorite cakes. I'm sure there's more, but those are like the top 3. So yeah, there's that. Look at it, it's already coming to life. And now it's time to detail the cake slice. Again, a very tedious process, not for people who don't have patience, because you really got to take your time if you really want it to look as realistic as you want. And there they are, the 2 textured cake pieces, whatever you want to call it. It's coming to life, y'all. Slowly but surely. And now it is time to make the icing for the cake. And I will try to explain this as much as I can, but it'll make a lot more sense if I do like a separate video on how to make it. But yeah, so as you can see here, I have my liquid clay, I had a little thing of Vaseline, and I'm going to use my fingers to soften the clay. Try to get it as soft as you can. So this is where like the magic happens. So I'm gonna turn this solid clay into like liquid form. Well, not liquid, but semi-liquid form. But right here, I'm grabbing some Vaseline. You really don't need a lot. I mean, it really just depends on how much clay you're using. That'll determine on how much Vaseline you'll need. So I'm rubbing that in. Just incorporate the Vaseline into the clay until it's really, really soft. And you want to do that for a while until it gets to a certain consistency, which I will show once I'm done with this part. So you want it to about that consistency when the clay is like very like stringy like that, which it should be more stringy. Like it should kind of droop once you pull it apart. Like the middle part should droop down. So I didn't really do it right, but like I said, I will do a more in-depth video on how I make my icing. That way it'll make more sense, and that way the main video focus will be that, so it'll be easier to like follow and stuff. So here I'm just cutting it. This part wasn't really necessary, but I'm just cutting it that way when I do squeeze in my liquid clay, it'll like help, you know, with like the mixing. It'll help get it all incorporated into the clay. But you see I'm having a rough time trying to do this because I didn't do the first step right. So I didn't do the Vaseline part the right way, but it's all right. So I'm squeezing that liquid clay into the white clay. And then I'm going to swirl it together and just until it gets to like a frosting icing consistency. So again, add as much liquid clay as you need to get it to that consistency, and it may take a few times, but eventually it'll get there. And as you can see, it's turning into like that icing consistency. Exactly what we are looking for. Alright, now it's time to ice in the cake. Again, this part is really messy, and I usually do this a different way. I don't know why I was sitting here using my hands to hold it, because usually I put it onto like a kebab stick, or I use one of my needle tools and I hold the cake up in the air. I like puncture a hole in the bottom and do it that way. But right here, my camera died, but I put the icing on the cake and the cake slice and I baked them in the oven. And now we gotta take it off the parchment, and it's a mess as you can see, but again, if you're not making a mess, then you're not having fun. And then right here, just taking the excess off. Like, yeah, I went crazy with it, as y'all can see. I got stuff everywhere, but it is okay. So yeah, taking the excess off, and then the bottom is looking rough, but we ain't worried about the bottom because I'm gonna glue it onto a little plate and you'll just never see it. So look at that. Look at how realistic that looks. And then it's still kind of like spiny and spiky, so I'm gonna take off some of that off the sides. And now it's time to make it shiny. Time to gloss it up and glaze it up and finish it off. Y'all let me know y'all's favorite cakes in the comment section, and maybe, just maybe, I will make a mini version of your favorite cake or cheesecake or birthday cake, anything. Just let me know and I will be more than happy to make a tiny version of your favorite cake. Because cakes are one of my favorite things to make out of clay. I mean, I love making other stuff too, but I don't know, something about making cakes. I just love it. And one thing that I haven't done is I've never made a square cake, like birthday cake type of cake. I always do round cakes, and I realized that yesterday. So there is our finished red velvet cake. I forgot to put the big cake on a plate, but it's alright. It still looks cute. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Look at how realistic that looks and just how cute it is. Like, I love it. I really do. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I love y'all and I will catch y'all in my next video.